Okay, so let's have a look at how to write a specification. We're going to start from where we left off last week, having carried out the analysis of the brief, and we're going to look at the birdhouse situation today. Always like to use my resources again, so here we go. Look at that. Today we're looking at writing a specification. So what is a specification? It's a list of performance criteria that your product should be adhered to. It should convey, it should be able to meet the performance criteria that you've stipulated. So let's have a look at where we were last week. We'll start with the environment and the sustainability aspect of the design. It's going to be in a garden, it's going to get wet, it needs to be durable, should be made from recyclable materials, should not harm the environment. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put all this information maybe into a questionnaire, a survey, carry out some research and then come back. We're then going to list some performance criteria. Now I've done this already and I've reworded it like this. So in terms of the environment, I want it to be manufactured from recyclable materials that don't impact the environment by producing greenhouse gases during manufacture. So I'm really ruling out plastic. I don't want to make it from plastic. I don't think it's going to fit into the environmental philosophy behind my design. FSC, a sustainable source of timber. So I'm really saying with this statement, I want to make it from timber from a sustainable source. It must be protected from adverse weather conditions as it's going to be exposed, and I've mentioned what it's going to be exposed to, so I don't want it to get damaged in any way. So I'm probably going to be looking at different types of finishes that will protect it. So there's two performance criteria, 2 bullet points that fulfill 2 criteria for the environment. Now, target market we looked at last week. The older generation, retired people, whether or not they were going to get health benefits. So I've gone away, I've looked at the target market, I've done my questionnaire, I've interviewed the manager at the garden centre because he knows about old people, and this is what I've come up with. As the product is intended to be purchased by an elderly consumer, the product should be in keeping with the slower pace of life and allow the consumer time to relax and reflect on the benefits of enjoying their golden years. I've elaborated on what I said last week. I've made it into one performance criteria. Old people should enjoy being in the garden, and I've worded it in such a way that the SQA can't fail to give me a mark. What else about the retired people? Right. I've looked at a little bit of aesthetics here. The chosen target market may benefit from a design inspired by a bygone era. So I'm looking specifically back in time into the 1950s. What will they reminisce about the 1950s? I've said steam-powered trains, and people could only one day dream of travelling on airplanes. Don't know if that's going to be useful later on, but 2 performance criteria there, analysing the target market's needs. Function. Now every single product has a function, a purpose, a reason for being. So this is always your big one. Identify criteria relating to the product function. Now I've gone on to the RSPB website and I've looked at doing some research on the sizes, and I've chosen a particular type of bird, a tree sparrow. The hole needs to be 28mm in diameter. The cubic capacity of the bird box, 2 litres. Okay, so that's very specific criteria. The birdhouse should be mountable on a pole or a wall to prevent rats from accessing the nest and stealing the eggs. Well, we identified that other birds, squirrels, rats could endanger the nest, so we really need a performance criteria to safeguard against that. To make access easier for the birds, a small perch should be fitted. This was a result of the questionnaire information I got. A lot of the people didn't like the idea of putting out food because that actually encourages rats, especially if the birds knock it onto the floor. So the idea of a specialised bird feeder would be better than trying to provide food with the house. So we're going to make a small perch at the front. So I'm already starting to see what this idea might look like. Now, economics, running costs, maintaining it, and ongoing maintenance. So this is what I've come up with. The maintenance shall allow the consumer to open the box at the end of each season for the removal of old nest materials can be done easily. So every year, open the box, take the nest out, clean it, ready for the next year's birds to come along. Now, because of the timber that I've chosen, I think it's important that to preserve the life of the material, the consumer should be made aware that there are different protective finishes that can go onto it that don't harm wildlife. So we don't want to be slapping any nasty paints on this, but we do want to protect it somewhat from the sun, the wind, the rain. So each year maybe a little bit of a rub down, a little bit of a coat of something that's going to keep it going for an extra season. So there's 2 more performance criteria. Ergonomics. I want to concentrate on the psychology. We know that we want it for people who want to relax in their garden and receive health benefits. So I've put these 2 psychological needs into one statement, one performance criteria. The psychological influence of the birdhouse on the target market should inspire both relaxation and a feeling of well-being. Done. One performance criteria for ergonomics. Now aesthetics. As you know, this is how it looks. So do we want it to blend into the natural surroundings? Do we want it to stand out? Will the materials affect its appearance? I think pretty much so. So as a result of the questionnaire, the survey, the interview with the manager at the garden centre, this is what I've come up with. The birdhouse should be inspired by a traditional form. In other words, a 1950s house. So I can already see what this thing's going to look like. The colour of the birdhouse, so obviously I'm using aesthetic words now, should harmonise with the natural surroundings of a garden and complement the natural environment. Shades of green, brown, and colours inspired by flowers, maybe gentle shades of yellow and red. So I've chosen the shape, the form and the colour already in my performance criteria. So every design now should really fulfil these 2 specific criteria. Market research. Well, we didn't really go out and do a survey, we just pretended that we did, paid lip service to it. But this is what I've said about market research. I intend to use the information I've sourced from an interview I carried out with the manager of the Dunbar Garden Centre. That shows the SQA, that you've gone out there and you've researched. I intend to use information gathered from a survey of customers at the garden centre who fitted in with the target market age range I'm designing for. So you've considered the needs of the target market. And that's all the market research wants to do at this stage. Go out and find out information that's going to be useful later on in the design. So what does this look like? It looks like this. A product design specification with all the performance criteria listed under each of the factors that we identified in the analysis of the brief. Now that's 1 done for the birdhouse. You've got 3 more to do. You've got the IKEA teenage furniture, you've got the camping chair, you've got the care home feeding table. So I'll put the example of this upon and with the video, and I want you to fulfill 3 more specifications typed out like that, sent in at the end of the week. What could be easier? Good luck.